Brothers and sisters, thanks for joining. Hey, today I want to talk about NATO. In light of the dust up at the White House on Friday, where it was kind of a tag team match of Trump and Vance against Zelensky, and they were all pretty rude to each other. I'm not going to get into who was in the right or who is in the wrong here. I'll do that in another video. But now the whole world is all aflutter, especially EU and NATO, and people are wondering what's next for NATO, right? And so I see a lot of people out there talking about what's going to happen with NATO, and we need boots on the ground, and what does this mean to the rest of the world and to NATO, and I wanted to do a little bit of education on Article 5 because people keep throwing around, oh, because of Article 5, it's going to get us all into a war. And that might be true. So, but most people have not actually read Article 5. So I wanted to read part of Article 5 and see what it said, and then kind of see what the impacts were going to be. So I went out to the European Union's website. So I think this is a good place to go to get this information. And I found this at a glance document that talks about Article 5 and the NATO treaty and the EU treaty. And I'm not going to get into the EU treaty for this. I just really want to talk about NATO, because it does matter. Theoretically, we've got Spain and we've got the UK saying that they think we should put troops into Ukraine for peacekeepers, after there's some level of peace. So don't mind the cat. He likes to come hang out with me. And there's other countries saying, hey, we don't want to do that. Right? But what if it were to happen? And, Starmer has said he wants to put a plan in place with the backing of America. So, what if American boots were on the ground as well? Now, Trump has said he would absolutely not do that, but this is kind of a theoretical exercise. But what if there were boots on the ground? If under Article 5, if British troops went in, would that potentially draw the US into the conflict? Or would that force the US under Article 5 obligation? Because, hey, the British were attacked by Russians in Ukraine. Would that be a thing? Would America have to respond? A lot of people are saying yes. So let's see what Article 5 actually says. So I'm going to read here in the middle, Article 5, Washington Treaty, NATO. The parties agree that an armed attack against one or more of them in Europe or North America shall be considered an attack against them all, and consequently they agree that such an armed act occurs, each of them in exercise of the right of individual or collective self-defense, recognize Article 51 of the Charter, will assist the party or parties so attacked, taking forthwith individually and in concert with the other parties such actions as deems necessary. So from that perspective, it appears, and you'll see this on the internet. People will say, "Yep, we got America would be drawn in to such a conflict." Well, assuming Ukraine is in Europe, right? So what's the definition of Europe? What's the definition of North America, right? So you will see that, but that's actually misinformation. That would be fake news, okay? Because what I want to point you guys out to is I'm going to scroll down to the geographical scope. So Article 5 is limited by Article 6 in its geography. So let's read about that. For Article 5 to be applicable, an armed attack has to occur on the territory of a NATO member. That's the key. So this territorial limitation of Article 5 is found in Article 6, which delimits the area in which the armed attack has to take place to North America, Europe, and other clearly defined areas north of the Tropic of Cancer. So the good example of this is the Falklands War, right? British felt like they had been attacked. They sent a fleet down there and retook the Falklands back in the 80s. I think it was the 80s. And so that was a thing. But were other NATO members required to help? No, they're not, because the attack has to occur against NATO territory. British troops would have to actually be attacked in Britain or in Germany, some other NATO country, right? North of the Tropic of Cancer. The framers of the NATO treaty did not want this kind of thing to happen where, say, the U.S. decided to go bomb, Iraq, and it would force the rest of NATO to help. Now, the rest of NATO can help; they can choose to help, but they don't have to help. Not it's not part of the treaty. So the treaty is very specific, and then it really leaves it up to the member countries to decide whether they're going to help or not. It hasn't, but this would all be outside of the treaty. So I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a member of NATO and I don't pretend to be one, but that's my read, given really kind of the best, evidence that I have out there doing a little bit of research that I think is fair. So again, I hope this was useful for you guys. This is just a little short thing because I just wanted to clear up that misconception because I really hate it when I see things on the internet that I just know are not true. And people say it was kind of like the thing where they said, and I've got another video on this, that Norway, you see all over the internet on TikTok or wherever, hey, Norway cuts off fuel to US Navy. No, that's not true. So don't believe everything you see on the internet is kind of one of my rules to live by. And you really need to go out and do a little bit of your own research before you jump on board with the group, so that you're as informed as possible. And then, make the best decisions for you and what you think should happen. So again, no comment here on how the Zelensky Trump thing went. I just want to educate, so that, people can make better decisions in their lives. All right, thanks everybody. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, I don't care. I enjoyed making it. If you'd like to see more of this stuff, go ahead and like, subscribe. You know what to do. Thanks. Bye.